Hey guys, Dwindling Elves here. So I've got another 1250 point game with my High Elves against a Demon opponent. So these are the lists that we're using in our Escalation League, but this game doesn't count towards the Escalation League because I've already played one game this week already. So for Magic, I've got the Lore Master of Hoth with the Book of Hoth because he is awesome. Then my opponent's got two level 1s of Nurgle. And one has got the Steam of Corruption, and the other one has Rancid Visitations. So my opponent's list is as follows. He's got a Nurgle Demon Prince up on the left. Then in the middle he's got a block of 20 Plague Bearers, and in there he's got both of his Heralds. So he's got a level 1, who is his BSB, and he also gives the unit 5+ poison, and then he's got a naked level 1 as well in that unit. And then it's a blurry picture, it's hard to tell, but there's 20 bloodletters in the block next to them. So this had me a little bit worried. He's got 2 combat blocks and a demon prince that I'm hitting on 5s or 6s most of the time. So I thought in the beginning of this game this was going to be a real challenge, especially considering that this list really kind of revolves around the white lions, but also the noble. And I don't want to send the griffin into that demon prince because he will absolutely eat him. And then I don't want to send the griffin into the plague bearers because they're going to poison the griffin to death on a 5+. And I'm also very worried about sending the griffin into the bloodletters because they could killing blow me. So out of those 3 blocks, I figured the best choice was to maybe flank the bloodletters to minimize attacks, so at most he's got 4 attacks, and if I do some damage to that unit beforehand, he might get 1-2 attacks on me at most, so that's the plan here. So I set up as follows. My eagle is on the left, then I've got my white lions in the center, and they've got musician and banner, and they've got the standard of swiftness, so they're movement 6, and they've also got the lore master with the Book of Hoth and the golden crown in there. Then I have my noble BSB on a griffin, and he's got a lance, an enchanted shield, and the dawnstone, so he's got a 2-up rerollable. The griffin is naked, I didn't have points for upgrades. Then I've got a 5 fast cav with musician and spears, and my bus of 9 silver helms with banner and musician. So I've put everything on this flank here because I want to concentrate on one block at a time, and I figured my best option is to get a front charge with the knights into the bloodletters and then flank charge with the griffin and the fast cav. Maybe we'll go into a rear eventually, but they're kind of sitting back in the beginning. So I win the roll for first turn, and with my vanguard and the regular fast calf movement, I'm able to move them pretty much all the way up the board. I move my griffin up as well, and he's out of line of sight of those bloodletters right now, which is a good thing. And in their line of sight and in their front arc, I've got my 9 silver helms. So I figured I got to take something in the front, and I'd rather do it with the silver helms than my griffin BSB, who can be easily killing blowed. The eagle moves up behind the building so he can't be seen. I figured maybe there's a role for him further down the line in case he wants to redirect or rear charge or flank charge, or I don't know. Eagles have been very, very useful to me. And then I figured the best way to keep the white lions alive is to beeline for the building. And I figured I'd move them in there turn 2, because then I can only get charged by either his demon prince or his plague bearer unit. He can't charge me with both, and I can keep my general alive because I can choose not to put him in the 10 guys that fight. So in my magic phase, I get pretty lucky in the beginning. So I Spirit Leech his non-BSB, and he fails to ward save it, and I do 2 wounds. And I actually get a Paradise back because of the lore attribute. So then I cast Shem's Burning Gaze on his Blooded Letters. Now I cast the small version, so I cast on a 5-up and it does D6 Strength 4. But since they're demons, it does 2d6 Strength 4. I ended up taking 6 guys off, which I thought was pretty awesome, and it was nice to actually use that lore attribute for once. And then I put a 2d6 Fireball on this unit again, and I kill another 4 guys. So I've taken that unit literally in half, and I feel pretty good about that. So that makes it much more manageable. I'm far less scared of getting or killing blowed. And my magic phase just continues. I mean, I've had really, really lucky magic phases, and I reduced the movement of the Plague Bearers by 1, but then I find out they've got the standard of swiftness, so there's still actually movement 4. So, Demon's turn 1. He moves up pretty aggressively. So he moves his Demon Prince in the flank of my white lines, but I'm not too worried about that because if I move them directly forward, I'm out of his line of sight. And he moved his Bloodletters up aggressively as well. Now, it might have been a little bit too aggressive because what this allowed me to do is now the Griffin is easily in the flank and my Silver Helms are also in the flank of that unit. So instead of getting 10 killing blow attacks to the face, I'm only dealing with 2, which is a really, really good opportunity for me. So I take it. So I charge the white lines into the Plague Bearers. 1, because it was an easy charge. 2, it keeps me out of line of sight of that Demon Prince. So I know his Demon Prince is a really good matchup against my white lines. Yes, I'm only hitting him on 5s, and then I am wounding him on 3s. But monsters like that absolutely eat through those guys. He's got 5 attacks and the Thunder Stomp on top of that. So I'm just happy to get him out of their line of sight. And then, I know it's a blurry picture, but I take the Griffin and the Knights into the flank of that unit. And the Griffin is only in base-to-base contact with 1 guy, so I'll get 1 attack at most on my Noble BSB. So in the magic phase, I get another awesome magic phase. My opponent gets unlucky and fails to dispel, so I get 3 buffs off. So I get Earthblood up on myself, so I've got a 5-up regen save. And when I actually cast that one last, and when I cast it, it was with 2 dice, and I got double 6s, and I rolled an 11, and I ended up losing 1 wizard level. Then I've got, and the Earthblood spell. Then I put up Miasma, and reduced his weapon skill by 2. So his guys are down to weapon skill 1. And then I also got Ice Shard Blizzard off, which is a further -1. So he's weapon skill 1, so that means he's only hitting me on 6s, which is huge, because normally he's poisoning me on 5+, but since his 5s don't hit, they don't count towards poison. So essentially I've reduced the number of wounds I'm supposed to take by half. So I thought that was a really, really good combo in this case. So we do the Bloodletter fight first, and as expected, I take them down to just 2 guys. I think I kill 5 guys total, and then the other 3 crumble, but he sticks. And then we do the Plague Bear fight second. I killed 5 guys, and I had 23 attacks, so I thought that was a little bit unlucky. But what did save him this turn, his last turn for his Winds of Magic, he rolled a 10, so he had a 4+ ward save instead of a 5+. And then he absolutely whiffs his attacks back at me. And this is where the double combo of -2 weapon skill with Ice Shard Blizzard, so he's -2 to hit, saved me probably a couple of wounds because he failed to roll any 6s, but he had a bunch of 5s in there. So after combat, he loses another 3 to crumbling, but he sticks. So Demon's turn 2. He takes his Demon Prince and flies it into my Silver Helms. And here I'm worried, because I figured the Demon Prince is pretty killy, and I'm not going to do any wounds to him. I can probably kill those 2 guys. But since I take this bus formation, I don't have ranks. So if I end up losing combat, I won't be steadfast. So we skipped. There is no magic phase or shooting phase to speak of. So in combat, the White Lions this time absolutely go to town. I think I end up killing 13 guys, and he doesn't have his 4-up ward save anymore. So yeah, that was really good. And after crumbling, he's down to his musician, his banner, and his BSB. And he fails to wound me again. Now this time he didn't have a lot of attacks, but again he can only hit me on 6s, and he's wounding me on 6s, but he's not rolling any. He just got unlucky there. Now in the other combat, I wiped out his Bloodletter unit before they got the strike. I put all my attacks on there. So I get 2 combat res. His Demon Prince comes in and only does 2 wounds to me. So he's got a charge and 2 wounds. I have 2 wounds and a banner. So I win by Musician. And he ends up sticking. But the good thing about this is it takes my Griffin BSB out of the combat because he was never fighting the Demon Prince. So that's a positive for me. Because I'm really worried that he would have just, put all his attacks on my BSB, and that's the end of my BSB. But that didn't happen. So High Elf turn 3, I take my BSB into the flank of the Plague Bears. So that should spell the end of that unit. And I forget to reform my Silver Helms out of bus formation into ranks so that I'll be steadfast. So that was a silly mistake. So in the combat, as expected, I clean up the Plague Bearer unit and reform as such. Now I'm keeping the BSB in range of the Silver Helms as well as the General in range. And then this happened. So he does no wounds to me. And I actually end up putting a wound up on him. I mean, I'm hitting on 6s and I'm wounding on 6s, and he's got a 5-up ward save. And I still sneak a wound through. And he takes his instability test and takes an additional wound after. So I put 2 wounds on his Demon Prince this round. So I thought that was pretty lucky on my part. So Demons turn 3. So the only thing that's really left to do is fight out this combat. He kills one of my guys, and I don't believe I do any wounds back, and we end up sticking. And this time I end up reforming. So High Elf turn 4, I fly my eagle, not my eagle, my Griffin Noble behind the buildings. So what I'm worried about is my Silver Helm's breaking this turn, and since it's on my turn, he'll just get a free reform and be able to charge anything on the board. So I hide the Noble so that he can't charge him, so the only target that he has is the White Lions, and I think there's not too many turns left. I should stay stubborn and should not outlast him, but at least last till the end of the game, so I stay there. And then I get another awesome magic phase, so I preemptively cast Earthblood on my unit in case the Demon Prince wins and beats the Silver Helms and turns around this turn. I get Wissen's Wild Form up on the Silver Helms, and I reduce the weapon skill of the Demon Prince by D3, and it goes down to 3. So now he's weapon skill 6. And with the Wild Form and the Miasma, instead of hitting on 6s, wounding on 6s, now I'm hitting on 5s and wounding on 5s. So that every bit helps. So we go straight to combat, and it helped. So he did 1 wound to me, and I end up doing a wound to him. So I win by banner, and he rolls, I think, a 10 on his instability, and he breaks. So I thought that was pretty lucky. Normally, I think a Demon Prince absolutely eats the Silver Helms. But I guess I've still got, he doesn't get to Thunderstomp me, and I've still got a 5-up armor save after his strength modifier, so I think I just got lucky there. So the after action report. Once again, I feel like a broken record here. The Lore Master with the Book of Hoeth is awesome. The synergy that some of these signature spells have, like reducing weapon skill via miasma, and Ice Shard Blizzard effectively means you get a -2 to hit, and I literally, with the Book of Oath, I used 3 dice to cast both these spells. Initially I was worried about how am I going to deal with this block since Demon Prince. I was able to maybe outmaneuver it a bit because of my increased mobility, but I think overall this isn't an accurate reflection of the Demon Prince. I think he underperformed. The math says he kills about 2 knights a turn, and I think over 4 combat rounds he ended up killing 3 or 4, so he should have, by the end of the game, he should have wiped out that Silver Helm unit. But so I've played 2 games with this more mobile list, so games 4 and 5 on my channel are with this exact list, and I'm really enjoying it. So it's very mobile, it's hard hitting, it lets me pick my fights and really take the initiative, whereas my other list was more defensive. When you play with Seaguard and Bolt Throws, all you gotta do is kind of sit back, which isn't real, and then countercharge when the moment's right, but it's not really a dynamic list. I think it's far more interesting to play this list, and as a result, today when I was at the store, I picked up another box of Silver Helms. So now I have 15 of them. So I'll start running a bus of 15 in future games. And yeah, for me, Silver Helms are far better and far more interesting than Northern Seaguard. I mean, one, they're durable. Just to have a knight unit that can take on monsters like a Demon Prince and not worry about, will get ground down, but ground down slower and not worried about being thunderstomped, and still actually has an armor save against those attacks. I think that really helps. And I think it's just far more interesting. Also, you get strength 5 out of your core, and their movement 9. I think they're a really solid unit. Yeah, and that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it.